Kim Dae-sung lived a quiet life in Seoul. He worked as a freelance translator. He knew several languages, but mostly human ones. He had little experience with anything outside Earth. Still, he loved words and the power they held. Sometimes he thought about the stars and what other languages might be out there in space. One rainy afternoon, Dae-sung was sitting in his small apartment. The window was open a little, and the cold wind blew in. He was reading a message on his phone. It was an email from a company called Galaxy Solutions. They said they had an unusual job. They wanted to hire him as a translator for an important project. They did not give many details, only that it involved communication with an alien species. Dae-sung was curious. He was not sure if it was a joke or a scam, but the offer was tempting. The pay was very good. It was more than he had ever earned before. He thought about it for a while. He asked himself if he was ready for something so big. He was not a soldier or a scientist. He was just a translator. But the chance to work with aliens was exciting. After all, not many people got this chance. He decided to accept the offer. He replied to the email and said he would meet them to learn more. The next day, he went to the office of Galaxy Solutions. It was a tall glass building near the river. The lobby was shiny and cold. A woman at the desk gave him a visitor badge. Soon, a man in a suit came to meet him. His name was Mr. Kang, the project manager. Mr. Kang led Dae-sung to a conference room. There, a small group of people waited. A woman named Lee Hana was the mission captain. She looked strong and serious. Another man, Park Jin-woo, was an engineer. He smiled politely. They explained that humans had finally made contact with an alien race called the Orvans. The Orvans had sent messages, and now Earth was sending a team to talk with them directly. Dae-sung listened carefully. The Orvans were not like humans. Their language was very different. The sounds and symbols were strange. The team needed a translator who could help understand the Orvans and make sure the talks went well. It was important to avoid misunderstandings. A small mistake in words could lead to a war. The fate of Earth and the Orvan homeworld might depend on it. Mr. Kang showed Dae-sung some recordings of Orvan speech. The sounds were sharp and sometimes musical. The Orvans used many tones that changed the meaning of words. It was not easy to learn. Dae-sung was not sure he could do it perfectly, but he felt ready to try. Captain Lee Hana said, "Your role will be difficult. This is not just translating words, it is about feeling the meaning behind them. You will be our voice. We trust you." Dae-sung nodded. He felt the weight of the responsibility. The team explained that the first meeting with the Orvans would happen soon. The spaceship Arirang was ready to leave Earth's orbit. Dae-sung would join them. They wanted him to prepare fast. They gave him some books and recordings to study. They asked him to learn as much as possible before the meeting. Dae-sung spent the next days alone in his apartment. He read the strange symbols and listened to the Orvan sounds again and again. He tried to find patterns. He wrote down notes. Sometimes he felt frustrated. Some words had no clear meaning. Others changed depending on who said them or how they felt. It was like the Orvans spoke with their hearts as much as with their mouths. He called Captain Lee Hana once to ask questions. She was busy but patient. She told him that understanding emotions and culture was as important as language. The Orvans had different ideas about honor, friendship, and trust. If Dae-sung failed to see those, talks might fail. One evening, Dae-sung walked by the river. The sky was clear and stars were bright. He thought about the future. He was just one man. How could he carry the hopes of so many people? He felt small but determined. This was a chance to do something great. When the day came, Dae-sung packed his bag and went to the space center. The Arirang was a large spaceship designed for long journeys. Inside, the crew welcomed him warmly. Captain Lee Hana introduced him to the others. Everyone was busy checking equipment and studying data. The mood was tense but hopeful. Before takeoff, Dae-sung met the ship's AI system. It was called Mira. Mira said, "I will assist you with language and communication. Together, we will help humans and Orvans understand each other." Dae-sung smiled. He was not alone. The countdown began. The ship shook as engines fired. Earth fell away below them. Daesung looked out the window at the blue planet shrinking. His heart beat fast. He was on a new path, one that might change everything. The spaceship Arirang moved quietly through space. Kim Daesung sat in the small translation room. He was surrounded by screens and devices that showed strange symbols and sounds. Outside the window, stars flashed by. They were getting closer, to the Orvan homeworld. Daesung listened carefully to the recordings the ship had received. The Orvan language was not like any human language. It had many sharp sounds, soft melodies, and changing tones. Sometimes the meaning changed, depending on the tone, like a song. Daesung worked hard to understand these patterns. He repeated the sounds many times. He tried to feel what the Orvans were trying to say. Captain Lee Hana came to the translation room. She looked tired but focused. She said, "The Orvan sent a message this morning. It is different from before. We do not know if it is friendly or hostile. We need you to translate it carefully. One mistake could be dangerous." Daesung nodded and looked at the screen. The message was full of strange symbols. He used the help of Mira, the ship's AI. Mira analyzed the message and showed possible meanings. Still, some parts were unclear. The Orvans used many words that depended on feelings and situations. Daesung thought deeply. He remembered what Lee Hana told him. It was not just words but feelings and culture. He tried to see the message as the Orvans would. Slowly, he made a rough translation. The message said something like, "We come in peace but are ready to defend ourselves." The crew was relieved to hear this. It meant the Orvans wanted to talk but were cautious. The captain said, "Good work, Daesung. We will prepare for the meeting. You must be ready to translate everything." Days passed and the Arirang moved closer. The crew trained and checked their equipment. Daesung practiced the language with Mira. He also learned about Orvan customs and values. The Orvans believed strongly in honor and courage. They respected strength but hated lies. One morning, the ship's sensors detected something unusual. Small ships appeared near them. The alarm sounded. Captain Lee Hana ordered the crew to be ready. Daesung felt nervous. He did not know if, these were friendly ships or enemies. The small ship sent a message in Orvan language. Daesung listened carefully. The tone was sharp and fast. The words seemed angry but also full of confusion. He translated, "You come to our home." "Why do you bring weapons?" The captain answered through Daesung. She said, "We come for peace. Our weapons are for protection only." The small ships moved closer but did not attack. Daesung's heart beat fast. He felt the tension in the room. Suddenly, the small ship stopped and a large ship appeared. It was the Orvan leader's ship. The large ship sent a message. The tone was slower and deeper. Daesung tried to translate. The message said, "We accept your words. Come to our home and speak, face to face." The crew felt hope. The first contact was about to happen. The Arirang docked with the Orvan ship. Daesung put on his suit and went to the meeting room. The walls were covered with strange lights and shapes. The air smelled different, fresh but unknown. Then the Orvans appeared. They were tall and slender. Their skin was a pale blue color. Their eyes were large and bright. They moved slowly and carefully. Daesung watched closely. He felt a mix of fear and wonder. The Orvan leader stepped forward. He was called Gora. Gora spoke in his language. Daesung listened carefully. The words were full of meaning and respect. He translated, "We welcome you to our home. Speak honestly, and you will be safe." The captain smiled. She said through Daesung, "We come with hope for friendship and peace." The meeting went on for hours. The humans and Orvans spoke through Daesung's translation. Sometimes the words were hard to understand. The Orvans used many metaphors and stories. Daesung had to think fast and choose the right words, but then something changed. Suddenly, alarms sounded. The ship shook. The lights flickered. Some Orvan warriors appeared. They were angry and ready to fight. Daesung saw weapons in their hands. Captain Lee Hana tried to calm them. She spoke gently through Daesung. But the warriors ignored her. They wanted to stop the meeting. They said the humans were not welcome. Daesung's heart pounded. He had never faced danger like this, but he knew words could help. He stepped forward and spoke in Orvan language. He used calm and strong tones. He said, "We come for peace. Do not let anger destroy what is possible." Some warriors looked at him. They seemed confused. One young soldier, named Nam-Kyu by the others, lowered his weapon. Daesung spoke to Nam-Kyu quietly. He asked why they were angry. Nam-Kyu said, "Some among us do not trust humans. They fear war and loss." Daesung understood. He spoke to the warriors. He said, "We all want safety and respect. Let us find a way together." Slowly the tension eased. The warriors lowered their weapons. The meeting continued, but with more caution. Daesung felt tired but proud. His words had helped stop a fight. The crew thanked him. Captain Lee Hana said, "Your role is more than translating words. You are a bridge between two worlds." Daesung smiled. He was still scared but also hopeful. This was only the beginning. The small meeting room on the Orvan ship still hummed softly with lights and voices. Kim Daesung sat quietly, catching his breath. His shirt was torn and stained with blood, not all his own. The fight had been sudden and fierce. His heart was still pounding hard, but inside a small fire of hope was growing. The Orvan warriors who had attacked were not all enemies. Some of them were confused and angry, afraid of what the humans might do. The young soldier who had lowered his weapon, Nam-Kyu, stayed close to Daesung. Nam-Kyu had a strange calmness despite the chaos around them. Daesung tried to speak with Nam-Kyu. He asked why the warriors had attacked. Nam-Kyu said softly, "Some of our people believe humans will bring war and destruction. They want to protect their home by force, but others want peace." Daesung nodded. He understood that this was not just a fight between two groups. It was a battle inside the Orvan people themselves. The fear and anger were real, but so was the hope for peace. Captain Lee Hana entered the room. She looked tired but determined. She said, "We cannot leave this fight as it is. If the Orvans are divided, there will be no peace. We must find a way to bring them together." The ship's engineer, Park Jin-woo, joined them. He said, "The ship's AI, Mira, found something interesting. It detected messages between the Orvan warriors. Some leaders want to sabotage the talks. They want war to start." Daesung's eyes widened. This was worse than he thought. There was more than just anger. There was a plan to destroy the chance for peace. The captain said, "Then we must act fast. Daesung, your language skills are key. You can speak with the Orvans who want peace. You can help them understand us and stop the radicals." Daesung felt the weight of the task. He was not a soldier. He was not a leader. But he was the only one who could speak both languages. He took a deep breath and agreed. For the next days, Daesung moved between groups. He talked with Orvan leaders who wanted peace. He listened to their fears and hopes. He told them about humans who wanted friendship. He used his words to build trust. One evening, Daesung sat with Nam-Kyu in a quiet room. The young soldier showed him old Orvan symbols carved in the walls. They told stories of courage, loyalty, and honor. Daesung saw that the Orvans valued strength but also truth and fairness. Daesung said, "We are different, but we share some values. If we fight, we all lose. If we listen, maybe we can find a better way." Nam-Kyu looked at him with respect. He said, "Your words are strong, translator. You speak like a warrior." Daesung smiled despite his tiredness. Maybe words could be weapons, too. One day, the radicals tried to start another fight. They attacked a group of humans and peaceful Orvans. The ship's alarms screamed again. This time, Daesung was ready. He stood in the middle and shouted in Orvan language, "Stop! This is not the way. We can end this with words, not blood." Some warriors hesitated. The radicals pushed forward, but others raised their voices against them. Daesung's calm but firm words gave courage to the peacemakers. The fight stopped before it began. The radicals were forced to retreat. Captain Lee Hana said, "You saved us again, Daesung. Your words keep us alive. Dae-sung felt pain from his wounds, but pride filled his heart. He was no longer just a translator. He was a bridge between two worlds. A link of hope. The ship's AI Mira told him, "Your understanding of Orvan culture is improving. This helps you find the right words." Dae-sung replied, "It is not just words. It is listening, feeling, respecting." Nam-Kyu visited Dae-sung often. They talked about their homes, families, and dreams. They were very different but shared a growing friendship. One night, Nam-Kyu said, "If peace comes, I want to see your Earth, to understand you better." Dae-sung smiled. "I will show you, and maybe you will teach me more about your world." The days passed with talks, plans, and small victories. The crew worked hard to prepare for the peace treaty. Dae-sung continued to translate but also to speak with heart. The blood on his clothes was a reminder of the fight, but the smiles from his new friends were a promise of peace. He knew the Yahtse journey was far from over, but now he was ready to face whatever came next. The Arirang and the Orvan leader's ship moved slowly toward the neutral zone. This was a place between Earth and the Orvan homeworld. It was where the peace talks would happen. The air in the ship felt tense, but hopeful. Kim Dae-sung prepared, carefully. He studied the Orvan language and culture even more. He knew that the peace treaty was very important. It could stop a war and start a new friendship. But he also knew it would not be easy. Captain Lee Hana gathered the crew. She said, "We must be ready for anything. Some Orvans do not want peace. They want to fight. We must stay calm and focused." Dae-sung felt the pressure. He was ready to translate, but he also needed to watch the feelings behind the words. The Orvans did not speak like humans. Their language had many meanings hidden in tone and expression. When they arrived in the neutral zone, the meeting room was large and strange. It was built with materials that shone softly. The walls had glowing patterns that changed color slowly. The Orvan leaders waited. Some looked serious, others curious. Dae-sung took a deep breath. He knew this was a moment that would be remembered for a long time. The Orvan leader Gora spoke first. His voice was calm but strong. Dae-sung translated carefully. Gora said, "We meet here not as enemies but as beings who share the stars. Let us speak honestly and with respect." Captain Lee Hana answered through Dae-sung. She said, "We come from Earth with hope. We want to live in peace and learn from each other." The talk started. At first, the words were polite and slow. Both sides tried to understand each other. Dae-sung worked hard to translate every tone and meaning. Sometimes he had to explain the feelings behind the words. But then Dae-sung noticed something. Some Orvan leaders looked worried. They whispered to each other. Dae-sung asked Mira, the AI, to check the Orvan messages. Mira said there was a secret message hidden in their words. Dae-sung told Captain Lee Hana quietly. She said, "This could be a trap. Some radicals want to stop the treaty. We must be careful." Suddenly, one Orvan leader stood up and shouted in his language. The tone was sharp and angry. Dae-sung translated, "They say humans lie. They say you want to take our land." Captain Lee Hana replied calmly. Through Dae-sung, she said, "We come with open hands, not weapons. We want friendship, not war." The angry leader did not calm down. The room became tense. Voices raised. Some Orvans moved closer to each other like they were ready to fight. Dae-sung felt his heart pounding. He knew this was the turning point. He stood up and spoke in Orvan language. His voice was steady and clear. He said, "Listen to me. War will bring pain to all. Peace brings hope and life. Do not let fear and lies divide us." Some Orvans looked surprised. The angry leader shouted again, "But how can we trust you?" Dae-sung answered, "Trust is built with time and truth. Let us start now." Slowly, the room grew quiet. The angry leader sat down, but he still watched carefully. The talks continued, but Dae-sung saw signs of hope. The Orvans asked questions about Earth and humans. The humans asked about Orvan culture and life. Daesung translated stories about families, dreams, and fears. He told about Earth's struggles and hopes for peace. The Orvans shared their history and love for their world. Then Mira found proof of the radicals' plan to attack the meeting. Daesung told Captain Lee Hana immediately. She said, "We must warn the Orvan leaders quietly. We cannot stop the talks, but we must protect everyone." Daesung agreed. He used careful words to tell the Orvan leaders about the danger. Some leaders were shocked but thankful. Together, they made a plan. The peaceful Orvans and humans would watch for any signs of attack. They prepared quietly without stopping the talks. The days passed with tension and hope. Daesung worked hard. He translated every word and felt every emotion. Finally, the treaty was ready. Both sides signed it with hope for a better future. The meeting room filled with applause. The humans and Orvans looked at each other with respect. "Captain," Lee Hana said to Daesung, "you were the heart of this peace. Without you, it would not be possible." Daesung smiled but felt tired. He knew the journey was not over. The treaty was a start, but trust would take time. As the Arirang prepared to leave the neutral zone, Daesung looked out the window. He saw the stars shining bright. He felt hope and pride. He was ready to face whatever came next. The Arirang was ready to leave the neutral zone. Inside the ship, a celebration was starting. Humans and Orvans gathered in the big hall. It was the first time they felt like friends, not enemies. They shared food that looked strange but tasty. Music played softly, and some Orvans tried to sing in human songs. The humans laughed and clapped. The room was full of hope. Kim Daesung sat quietly near the wall. He looked tired. His clothes were torn, and his skin had cuts and bruises. Blood had dried on his sleeves. His body ached from the fights and long hours of tension. But on his face was a smile that showed pride and relief. People came to him one after another. Some Orvans bowed slightly. Others shook his hand with a gentle grip. Captain Lee Hana came last. She looked at him with a kind and strong gaze. She said, "Your work was more than just translating words. You gave us peace with your courage and heart. You showed us the power of language. Without you, none of this would be possible." Daesung nodded slowly. He felt humble. He said, "I only did what needed to be done. I wanted everyone to understand each other, to build a future together." The Orvan leader, Gora, stepped forward. He smiled with a warm and slow expression. He spoke in his language. Daesung listened carefully and translated for everyone. Gora said, "We honor you as the voice of peace. You carry the strength of two worlds. Your words stopped a war and started a friendship." The crowd clapped and cheered. Some even wiped tears from their eyes. Daesung looked around at the faces. Humans and Orvans stood together, sharing a moment they never dreamed possible. Later, Daesung found Namkyu, the young Orvan soldier who had once lowered his weapon. They sat side by side, sharing a small meal. Namkyu smiled and said, "If peace lasts, I want to visit your Earth. I want to see the places you told me about." Daesung smiled back. "I will take you there, and I want to learn more about your world too." The ship's AI, Mira, joined them with a soft voice. Mira said, "You have done more than anyone expected. You helped create a new path for both our peoples. The future is brighter because of you." Daesung felt tired, but happy. He looked at his friends. People who had once fought and feared each other, now united by trust. The celebration went on late into the night. People told stories, laughed, and dreamed of a better future. The next morning, Captain Lee Hana called a meeting. She said, "We will continue working with the Orvans. This treaty is only the beginning. Daesung, your voice is needed in all future missions. You helped build this peace." Daesung felt proud but also a heavy sense of responsibility. He said, "I will do my best. Together, we can keep building trust and peace." As the Arirang prepared to leave the neutral zone, Daesung stood by the window. Outside, stars shone bright and endless. He thought about how far he had come, from a simple translator to a hero of peace. His body still ached. His clothes showed the marks of battle. But inside he felt strong. He was cheered, bloody, and smiling. He knew the road ahead would be hard. There would be challenges and dangers. But now, humans and Orvans could look to the future together, and Dae Sung would be there, speaking words that could change worlds.